My name is Vish Vishwanath. I am Lee Key Professor of Health Communications at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Most of my work at the school and Dana-Farber focuses on understanding how knowledge from controlled research settings can be translated to influence policy and practice. As I do that work, I have two principles that guide my work. One is that I center equity so that I feel that all groups, irrespective of their backgrounds, class, race, sexual orientation, geography, place, irrespective of their backgrounds, they should benefit from knowledge that's produced in research. And two, to make sure that stakeholders and community groups are engaged in the translational process. So I use a lot of community-based participatory research principles as I do this work. And I have a couple of platforms that I use in doing this kind of work, or that I build on. One is I am the director for the Center for Health and Happiness. It's called the Lee Shung Center for Health and Happiness at Harvard Chan School of Public Health. I also had Harvard Chan's India Research Center and a lab which is called the Center for Translational Communications. All three centers allow me to do the kind of work I want to do. So the center primarily is focused on really connecting health with happiness. So there are a number of centers in the country and even in the world which focus either purely on health or on happiness. And what we are trying to do in our center is to really bring those two areas together. So by happiness, so for example, we focus a lot on well-being, which goes back to the classic World Health Organization's definition that health is not merely an absence of disease or infirmity, but a complete state of well-being, physical, psychological, and social. The social part we often forget. And so what we are trying to do is really bring those three dimensions together in studying this connection between health and happiness. So our goal at the center is to pursue research or produce knowledge connecting these three dimensions together. Number two, really ensuring that this knowledge is translated, as I said earlier, to influence policy and practice. So what that means is to make sure that we work with community organizations. My presence here is one illustration of that. I think communities are actually the centers where this work takes place. So our job, as I see it, is to really help facilitate, work with communities to promote well-being in addition to producing that knowledge, but also to make sure that we take what is being done in the community back to the lab or the research settings, so to speak, to inform our own work. And so our goal is, I hope, that we will be able to accomplish this pursuit of knowledge connecting health and well-being, and number two, translate that knowledge, and number three, take our collaborations and activities in the community back to the lab to study the questions, and to study problems. And I hope throughout this process, again, just to remind all of us that we keep equity central to our work. One of the problems we have had in the past, or let me put it this way, one of the challenges is that we approach health or happiness or well-being or belonging, all these issues in silos, right? But the fact of the matter is these are all connected to each other. We know that upstream factors, what we have come to call as social determinants of health, whether it is housing policies, racism, segregation, income distribution, employment, all these upstream factors, influence processes of social capital, belonging, a sense of cohesion in the community. And those are, in my view, or at least in my area, communications, access to information, and capability in using this information. All these factors and processes ultimately influence health. And we also know that it's not a one-way street. We know that health eventually also influences these processes, and they influence the upstream factors such as employment. So in my view, I think we have to have an integrated perspective in understanding this. But we also have to realize that we can't do it alone. And that's precisely the reason we believe research and practice and capacity building through training, all of them go together in promoting well-being, happiness, and health ultimately. So communication is focused at two levels, if you will, right? So one is we are particularly interested in addressing communication inequalities. So by communication inequalities, we mean accessing information, engaging with information, processing that information, and capacity or capability to act on that information. So we, in all of our work, we try to address how we can, and we argue that on all those four dimensions, there are inequalities. Those who are better off, whether it's education, income, race, ethnicity, you can place, all these things matter and could potentially contribute to those inequalities. So we are focused on, through practice, policy, and research, in addressing those inequalities. But it's more than providing information, and this is where a different perspective is important. All of our research has also focused on how communication can promote social capital. As an example, by social capital, we mean, I think it's an unfortunate turn of a phrase, social capital, because sometimes it sort of implies it's something like a cash in your wallet. It could be, but more than that, social capital is about relationships, about reciprocity, about trust among people, among groups. And this is where it directly is connected to joy, happiness in the community. Because through communication, we promote trust among different groups, among residents and institutions, among different groups in the system. And through communications, we promote the sense of belonging. We promote a sense of cohesion, that I am a part of the community. I can feel that this community is more helpful to me, that I am not lost in the community, that I don't find it unfriendly or hostile, but that I can find support whenever I want, right? That sense of feeling, both as a feeling and as a part of a structure, those ties are very important. And community and communications can bring about and promote and amplify that sense of community and belonging. And that's where communication and the work you are doing, which is, by the by, very innovative. I don't see many people, many communities, many cities doing that, except for there are some exceptions. In that sense, I feel our work on communication is directly related to what you are doing in promoting that sense of well-being and joy in the community through various actions. What brings me joy? Now, I can talk very articulately or eloquently about other people and things that are beyond me. When it comes to me, it's a difficult thing. But reflecting on it, I think I like giving better than taking. I feel good when I'm doing good, or when I perceive that I'm doing good. On the other hand, when I feel that I have not been kind or good or helpful, on reflection, I feel miserable and bad. So I think what brings me joy is doing good, the perception of doing good, and giving in whatever way I can. You know. And now I'm realizing, I think we all have very busy, stressful lives. So we are always looking at the next deadline, next project, but really thinking through the micro moments in life, sitting here, doing this, and taking, mindfully reflecting on it, I think brings me